Hello and welcome to another week of Transform Your Relationships Live. I'm Laura Rubinstein here with Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. How are you, Rhoberta?
Well, that's not the best question today. Let's just say it's a lovely day in sunny San Diego.
It is a beautiful day, and I'm glad you're here because it's significant. And we are talking about significance today. What is it, and why should we care? So where should we start?
Well, I think it's important that we recognize that we've talked about success and where that all stems from and how we sabotage ourselves sometimes. So this is the third part of that equation. And significance is the most important thing, in my opinion, because it is the meaning that we give things. Are you significant? Does what you do mean anything to you and other people? It's way more than your passion. It's, are you significant? Are you doing something significant? Are you effecting a significant change? Whether that's just making someone else's day brighter by smiling at them, or perhaps in your career, you're doing something that is helping people that really need help. You get to define what's significance, but it's the meaning that you give it and the meaning that it creates for others. So it's well beyond any idea that you'd read in a magazine about what it is to be successful. It's an internal question to say, is it significant for me?
I remember a mentor of mine once saying that to be happy, and I think she was quoting Sigmund Freud, and she said one of the most valid things he ever said was, because I know some of that has been invalidated by the psychology community, but to be happy you need two things, love and meaning. And I think that they're like deep love and meaningful work or something like that, but meaning, and as people, we make meaning out of a lot of things, right? Out of almost everything. Everything means something. But meaningful, meaning when I hear what you're saying, it's like having something in our lives that aligns, that feels bigger than any tangible thing we could have, more important, maybe not bigger is not the right word, but more important. It's like a closely held value that we're living in alignment with, way of contributing with, and making some positive impact from our point of view. It's all subjective, of course. Is that
Mm-hmm.
where we're going with that? Is that
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And maybe a really practical way, Laura, to look at it is if you're doing a business and you find yourself every morning going, oh, really, do I have to? Do I have to do that thing? Do I have to talk to that person? Maybe you're not in touch with that significance within yourself of what you're doing. Like maybe what you're doing has significance and you haven't connected with it. Or maybe you're doing it because you're living up to the expectations of other people. And that we don't want to be doing that. When my partner Charles and I wrote Solitude, we talked about two really big problems that we have in life challenges. And one of them was the living up to the expectations of others. So haven't we all, this is the practical example, haven't we all been to seminars that say, well, you got to do this and you have to do it in this way and you have to say these things and all of that. And you do it and it feels hollow and it feels forced and you don't want to do it. It has no significance to you. You haven't connected with it. It doesn't have meaning to you. You're jumping the hoops that someone else told you, but it is not authentic from within yourself. I
and
certainly
it
went to that.
and it feels like significance feels like energizing, positive. How can I get my life, like in the flow?
Yeah, yeah. That that you're on the right path, that your alignment is and flow are perfect words for it to say, now this is what gets me up in the morning and this is how I feel good about it. And sure, examine it. Maybe you have some limiting beliefs or something that's holding you back. Do your own work, but do the work because you want to be living from a place of significance. And that will give you the success that causes you to go, wow, yeah, I really did something today that I feel good about. And it could be, like I said, as simple as recognizing that just walking around loving people, whether you say anything or not, creates significance. Or it may be that you have your gift to give to the world, and you find that when you get in touch with the significance of it, it becomes your mission, your calling. It's something you cannot not do. Like Balanchine said, he said, don't give me people who want to dance, give me people who have to dance. And that's the difference, right?
Mm, it
So,
is. And where do we start? So, I'm guessing a lot of us can relate. And even I have these days when I'm waking up and I'm like, why do I feel like not excited to wake up? Or it could be, why do I feel a negative feeling? Why am I so, not unhappy here? Where do we start? It feels like the Titanic to turn around right now to, if I want to change from that place to a place of significance, what would be a good first step?
oh, that's such a big question. Because first of all, you have to get out of that place that I was just talking about. Examine whether you're living up to other people's expectations or your life is constructed from the inside out, right? And externals really get in our way sometimes. All the shoulds that we've been given, or if you were a good person, you would do this, or you don't have any gifts to give, or you have so many, and what are you wasting your time on that for? I can use an example in my own life because I work with a population of people who are in relationships that are very, very troubled, and it causes one person to have a whole lot of problems while the other person is creating them. And people say to me, well, why do you do that? I mean, how can you do that all day? Well, it's because it's significant to me. I've lived that. I know that. I know that feeling. I know the results of that. And to be able to help those people has significance to me. So it draws me to do it. Where other people are like, oh, why do you bother? Or how can you? Or whatever. So that makes a difference because it comes from my life, from my values, from my vision, from my beliefs, from my purpose, not somebody else's. And when we live aligned with our values, as you said, and our vision for our life, not the vision someone else gave us for our life, but our personal vision. What do we want it to look like and feel like and sound like and taste like and smell like? And then what are my beliefs? What are my beliefs about the way the world works, or the way relationships happen, or money grows on trees, or money doesn't grow on trees, or our spiritual beliefs? And then right now, what are our purposes in life? What are we up to, and do we know? Or are we just kind of muddling through? And we get real clarity. Then we can get in touch with what significance. We can sift and sort. Like, this has meaning to me. This doesn't have meaning to me. And then we can pay a lot more attention to what has meaning to us in a positive way and move ourselves forward. And, no matter what we talk about, Laura, it always comes down to know yourself, right? And to thine own self be true. And so many people have trouble giving themselves that gift. But when we talk about significance, we are really at the bottom line of giving yourself that gift of knowing who you are, what is in your heart to do, what's in your skill set to do, combining the two and having a meaningful life that is significant and that you can say at the end of your life, not to be dramatic, but at the end of your life saying, I'm really happy I did that. That's where I wanted to spend my time.
And I'd like to bring up at this time, first of all, say hi to those of you watching. Feel free to say hi to us or ask questions in the comments below the video on Transform Your Relationships Live on Facebook. You're not alone in this. You don't have to go it alone. You've got to do some of your inner work on your own, but you can be supported. And that's, I know, Rhoberta, you've been dedicated to that work for a long time. And on your website at forrelationshiphelp.com, you have an amazing amount of information. You've got free downloads, you've got blogs, you've got the offer to work with you, to even speak with you as a discovery session. So there's a lot of incredible information and help you can get. And if you're also looking in your careers and wanting to know what is this making sense of the world of social media, is it up for you? I do a lot of work with hypnosis as well. You can go to my blog, it's transformtoday.com. And I'm passionate about taking the journey with people, because if you're watching this, if you're looking for significance, you don't, you can, and you're feeling a little blind. We all are, first of all, I think. That's why I'm actually asking some of these questions, because I either need reminders or I need new ideas, and I want that support. I don't want to do this alone. And that's why we do this. So you're not alone, and we know we're not alone out there providing this information. So I love what you said, Rhoberta, about examining whose values are we living out of, and that's not an easy thing to do sometimes. But then looking at what do we believe, and what is that serving us or not? And almost feel like, we say it over and over again, like you mentioned, is like you've got to spend time to yourself, getting to know yourself. I feel like somebody could be saying, but I know myself. And I feel like when we say that, we're just frustrated that we haven't gotten the answer yet. And my advice, and it was really suggestion, is take the pressure off. Rome wasn't built in a day. You're a complex being. We change in every moment. We see new things, or we have the opportunity to see new things. We have the opportunity to learn new things. We have to create new things. So if we can put ourselves back into a childlike state, not like immature, but innocent and observant and curious, come from there versus judging ourselves for not having significance or having somebody else's values and beliefs, and just say, isn't this interesting? Watch what that opens. See if it opens. Find other questions to ask. I always like to say the question is way more important than the answer.
I agree. Yeah. And I think it's important for us to accord ourselves the time to do that, Laura. We sometimes don't talk about the time when we're saying these things. They sound like a should, but we actually have to spend time with ourselves. And many people think that if they just get in and run as fast as you can, you'll get somewhere. But the actual fact is you need to spend time with yourself. You need to spend time in the quiet. You need to accord yourself the importance and significance of spending time with yourself. And many people run away from that. They don't believe that that's important, or they're afraid of it, or they're not sure what to do. In fact, when we wrote Soul Solitude, my daughter is an editor, and so she was reading the book. And usually when I write a book, because I've written many, she'll get back to me right away and she'll say what she thinks. And she didn't. And so days went by. I'm like, what's up? So finally I called her and I said, what's up? What do you think of the book? She said, I'm angry. I said, why are you angry? She said, because on page 111, that really made me angry. So I looked at page 111 and it said, there is no technique in soul solitude. Simply sit, fall silent, and listen. That's all it said on the whole page. I said, why did that make you angry? She said, you blew my cover. As long as I could tell myself that I didn't know how to meditate or sit quietly or do any of that, I could ignore it. Now you told me that there is no technique. I don't have to learn anything. I just have to do it. And that makes me angry because I had an excuse and I don't have it anymore. And so for some of us, that may be the truth. We think that significance lies in being busy. And I would like to suggest that all those things that you just said, which are absolutely key to what we're talking about, Laura, but that significance lies in knowing yourself daily. You change. You know, everything that happens modifies who you are. Every relationship, every success, every lack of success, every change of mind, all of these things change us. We have to keep up to date with ourselves. There are no shoulds. And that's really key, to give yourself that time.
And I posted a question in the comments area, like how are you spending enough time with yourself? And I'm guessing if the instant reaction isn't an emphatic yes, it's probably no, not like a should, but like an opportunity to do so. And I wanted to give a shout out to Val Kirkgard. Thank you for being here, one of my very first mentors and celebrities from Los Angeles. Great to have you here and watching. I just so adore you. So, and your wisdom. So, and if you have any wisdom, anyone who's watching wants to share, feel free to put it in the comment area. We love your comments. And so this notion of spending time, I love how we're spending time here talking about spending time. And though it seems maybe boring to some and or resistant, how can we make it inviting and enticing and juicy and like something you can't wait for and you make a priority for? It's like a great question to ask ourselves. And maybe, Rhoberta, how do you do that? How do you make it inviting and juicy for yourself?
Well, this may not be the happiest answer for everybody, but it's a happy answer for me. I get up early. Like, I prize the quiet time in the world. That's when I find the inspiration. I like to get up. I like to sit. I have a beautiful spot where I sit that I constructed to be beautiful, that brings me peace when I look around. And then I read from a particular author every morning that inspires me. And then I can sit and think about that. And wherever my mind takes me at that place, I listen and see what's coming up, what's going on, what am I feeling, what am I thinking, what am I relating to, what's coming into my mind. And that way I kind of keep up with myself. You know, that's why the tagline of Soul Solitude is is about catching up with ourselves. Because if we don't catch up with ourselves, we're just running as fast as we can and we don't know where we are, you know. So it's very important that we recognize that we can know where we are, or we can know how fast we're traveling, but we can't know both things at the same time. So we need to stop, right? And so for me, that's what works, is get up, get whatever beverage I'm having in the morning, open the blinds so that I get the beginning of the day, and then sit and just catch up. And for some people, they like to write things down. I like to write down what comes to me to think about or do, so that that inspiration informs my day. What do you do, Laura?
Well, I do a couple things. One is I get in the tub. That's my soul solitude space a lot of times, is to spend time in water, immersed, where there's nothing I can do other than feel the water. When I can't get into water, I love, and in warm water in particular, I love getting into my body, taking some breaths and just saying, what is my body saying in this moment to me? What, it really gets me into the present moment. I can give myself some attention. And if our body gives us so much information, that's where our emotions live. That's where our thoughts live. Everything lives in this body, but we forget to speak to, communicate with, listen to the physical the physical feelings and what might be driving that, and the emotional feelings. So what am I feeling? And again, bringing to that time and space, it's like, I just bring a lot of like questions to myself in moments. And so it could happen at any time. I spend a lot of time home, if you're at home alone, in my office and wherever in my home, but that offers me the opportunity to stop in the middle of something. If something's not flowing, if I'm feeling off balance, if I want to feel better, to say, body, tell me what's happening here. And it feels like a sacred connection that I plug into and get to listen to. And sometimes I don't understand the message, and that's okay because it's not the time maybe that I need to know the answer, but at least I posed the question for this sacred space to feed me at some point when it is right, when I can see it, when I'm in the right mode. But I just love the art of asking questions of myself to myself. Usually I change the question in an instant. It's like, no, that's not the right question. I have no access at this point. Or it is the right question, maybe. So let's just let it dangle out there. Because when I said earlier, the question's more important than the answer, it's because the answer can't be seen without the question a lot of times.
Yeah, it's a good
Our
insight.
answers are right here. Answer could be window, you know, but I don't know because I don't know that that's the answer because I haven't asked the question.
Right. And I love the term you use, sacred connection. Like this is sacred to us, that all right, this is sacred time. This is time I accord myself to connect with things that are larger than myself, that I open myself to possibilities. I open myself to just absorb and allow things to flow through me that I could consider. And this is not woo-woo stuff, everybody. This is what actually goes on when you just sit down and you don't say, well, I'm going to figure out my finances while I sit here. When you just open yourself to listen, just listen. There's no big script. I've studied meditation in several countries in a lot of disciplines, and where you put your eyes and where you put your feet, and whether you have a candle or you have music or you don't, or a mantra or you don't, or you look at your third eye or you whatever. I mean, you can come up with a million possible ways to supposedly do it right, but really it all comes down to this: sit, fall silent, and listen. And if you're willing to do that, you have a basis for finding out who you are, what is significant to you, what is your significant contribution to the relationships, the people, the ideas, the offerings that you have. And then you can open yourself more and more to that. And like you said, sometimes you ask the question and you just have to leave it hanging in the air because nothing seems to come. But believe me, it's working. You are being worked upon. It's working within you because you ask that question, and it will come. So don't be impatient. There is no time in this. There's just process. You're just there, and allow it to happen, and love yourself enough to do it. But let's talk a little bit more about that significance and how it might show up. Because say you do know you're on your right path and you have a calling. Like, that's the way I feel about what I do. I feel like in the morning I get up and I go to my Facebook groups to see, what's going on, what's happened to somebody, what do they need, what do we need to talk about, what do I need to provide for them. And that just gives me juice, like you said. Like, it's not like I have a rescue complex. It's that I have something to contribute. My life, all that I've learned, all that I've been through, I have something to contribute, and I can relate to these people, and they know that. And so we have a relationship. And, that's free. Nobody's paying me to go in there and be on Facebook, but it is that connectivity to that life that I can make a contribution to. And like you're saying, when you go in and you say, well, have you thought of this in your business? Or have you done this with social media? Or have you gotten your word out? And do you know what your word is? It's the same process. Is the gift that you have to give is that inquiry, that you can help people. And that's what makes my life significant to me. I mean, yes, it's lovely when people write and say, oh, wonderful things about what a contribution to their life is. But if something doesn't get you up in the morning that you're excited about, start there and start looking around for what that might be. And don't be colored by other people's expectation. Maybe it lights you up to go and be a volunteer. And you don't make any money at all, and somebody's got it hooked into that you're only successful and significant if you're making a ton of money. Well, believe me, that's a myth that's been perpetuated by a whole lot of people who want to make a whole lot of money by telling you how to make a whole lot of money. So you need to accord yourself the time to learn you. And the only way that you can do that is to sit quietly. And maybe sometimes you go to a seminar and then you come home and you actually spend time with the notes. What a novel idea, right? That you sit quietly and you go through, well, what does this mean to me? What is the significance to me? And one day I can take 3 things and the rest of them have no meaning. I come back to those notes 4 months later and I go, wow, that was gold. And you take 4 more things, right? So it's getting involved in the process of your life to find out what is significant to you, and therefore what does that pay forward.
And, something that also helped me or helps me when I'm really fast and I'm really resisting stopping is just slowing down.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing one less thing, giving more space, even in speaking,
Yeah.
even in breathing. Those little moments are very connective. They create almost significance. Like by spending this time with yourself, we put ourselves as a priority. We're like declaring energetically, we matter. We care enough to slow down to find out how we can have more significance in the world, create the meaning that really is fulfilling. There's no doubt that people create meaning or significance that they don't feel connected to. But maybe in the slowing down, they can just connect to. Think about a doctor. Think about somebody who helps people in an area that's really needy. These people, if they're not taking time for themselves, they're not feeling that significance.
Yeah, they won't let it in.
Or you have a bad boss and you're in this very significant role. You got to let it in, or you've got to let it out, like take care of yourself a little bit. So there's many layers and many angles to come from with significance, creating it in your life. And, quite frankly, I feel like we don't have the answers for everyone. We have some ideas and ways to potentially access it.
That's right. Yeah, we can't. That's only something that each individual can actually know, because they're the only person who can accord themselves the time and the interest in finding out. Like, many people hear that sitting quietly is a really good thing to do, but maybe you need to hear it 24 times, and on the 25th time you go, oh, that really makes sense. Don't beat yourself up if you haven't got to that place yet, but know that this is a really basic principle in having the life you want, and to have a life that you really feel good about, is that being really present in your life and present to yourself. And give yourself that gift. I mean, you deserve that. And I don't mean that in some rah-rah way. I mean, you have the opportunity, as I do, as you do, Laura, we have the opportunity of a lifetime. What are we using it for? Right?
Wow.
So if I don't ask myself those questions, I won't have the answer to what am I using it for.
It feels like almost a lot of pressure. Like, oh my God, I'm wasting my life, because we do. And at the same time, we do. We have that opportunity of a lifetime. I like how you pause with that. So, another thought I had is like, do I have to tell people what significance is to me?
Better not to. Better not to, actually. It's things that we do in secret within ourselves are hugely powerful. Test it out. Maybe you don't have all that much. Maybe you don't have a lot of money or what time or whatever, but you have something. Give it away in secret. One of the things that I notice on Facebook, and you've probably all noticed it too, is that somebody will write, oh, well, the person in front of me in the grocery store ran out of money and I gave them the money. Well, that's not in secret, right? That is a dissipation of the energy of that exchange. When you go blabbing about the good that you did, that is a dissipation of the energy. Do things in secret. Like maybe you put $5 in your neighbor's mailbox, or you do something for somebody anonymously, or whatever it is. We all have something to give. We give somebody a book, or we give our unwanted clothing to somebody. We do something, but do it in secret, and that allows you to express who you are without any strings attached. That's just you doing you in the best way possible. And this whole business of doing it in secret is extremely powerful. You will find that when you do that, doors seem to open, possibilities show up, opportunities show up, things happen. And we're not doing it because we want that to happen. We're doing it because we know that it has meaning to us and significance to us to be who we are, and we are people who help others, or we give to others, or we see a need and fill it, or whatever. And when you add that extra layer of doing it in secret, it's really, really powerful.
It makes me think of a time when I was helping a friend and somebody I didn't really know that well, not like a best friend, but became a good friend. And she turned to me and she goes, "Why are you doing this for me?" And I go,
Why not?
I don't even think about it. It's like it's like you're a human being. I'm here present. There's this huge opportunity for me to help you. It would feel totally off if I didn't. I would feel like I would miss that significance. And it wasn't like I was doing it in secret, but I wasn't like,
Well, it was
going out of my
secret till she
way.
asked you. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it was just
Well,
you
I mean,
doing
she was
you.
there. She saw it, but she was like, she didn't understand why I was doing it, but I couldn't not do it, right?
Right, and she won't understand it because it's not something that she's yet ready to embrace herself. And that's why the secret business, because we don't want to guilt anybody. It's just, this is who we are and this is what we do. And when we just do it, other people's are the beneficiary of it. But so are we, because we're living in alignment. And when you're living in alignment with your values, your vision, your beliefs, and your purpose, it's like, yay, it's morning, right? Like, great, I get to do me again. But if you're not, it's like, oh, good God, it's morning. I got to do that. And you don't want that. What an incredible energy difference, right? To get up in the morning and say, wow, I get to do this. Whole different thing between those two. And which one do you choose? Well, one has energy and one will dissipate energy. It's pretty much a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I love our conversation of significance, creating significance, creating space so we can create that significance. And we are coming to the close of our time today. So I invite everybody to take that time to step into it, to check out, maybe read some blogs at forrelationshiphelp.com or at transformtoday.com. See what stirs in your body. If that's the way that feels significant for you to take advantage of your time. I just love this conversation. Is there any final words you want to add to this topic?
I just have 2 words to add. You matter. And treat yourself as though you do.
Great way to end. Thank you, everyone. You matter. We'll see you next time, which will be in 2 weeks, and we'll have another transforming relationship transforming conversation. Bye for
Indeed.
now.
Bye.